science guy. Bill Nye the science guy.
Science rules.
Bill Nye the science guy.
Inertia is a property of matter. T minus 7 seconds.
Bill Nye the science guy.
Wetlands? What is a wetland? Well, you see, wetlands are ecosystems flooded by water, either permanently or, depending on the seasons, temporarily. Wetlands have a very interesting ecosystem. It's filled with all sorts of bugs and animals. Wetlands are unique from other systems because they are flooded by salt or fresh water from major bodies of water or rainwater. They're also unique because they have many aquatic plants, either how do you say that word? How do you say that word? Herbaceous or woody, depending on the types of wetland. Some different types of wetlands are swamps, marshes, bogs, and ponds. Let's take a look. This little guy is a slug. Slugs are often found in swamps and marshes. Look at this little guy. Even
Nice
though he's
word.
a small guy, he plays a crucial part in the ecosystem of the wetlands. Well, what does he do? They provide food for other animals and decompose dead organisms for the forest, so the forest floor is crowded with dead organisms. Slugs are part of the food chain. In fact, they're close to the bottom. Any ecosystem has a diverse number of organisms that are interdependent. These organisms are producers, consumers, or decomposers. Producers are green. So long, little guy. Any ecosystem has a diverse number of organisms that are interdependent. These organisms are producers, consumers, or decomposers. Producers are green plants that use the chlorophyll in their leaves to harvest energy from the sun and use chlorophyll to manufacture glucose. Consumers are animals and other organisms that get their energy by digesting the living tissue of producers. They chomp down on it, chomp, chomp. Decomposers are specialized consumers that survive by digesting the tissues of non-living producers and consumers. Decomposition helps to provide the fertilizers that producers need to flourish, as the interdependence is known as the food chain. In a wetland food chain, producers are the plants and algae. Wetland consumers can include marine and or freshwater invertebrates like shrimps and clams, fish, birds, amphibians, and mammals. The wetland decomposers are bacteria and fungi that break down dead organisms into simple compounds. Some of the common animals that can be found in Canadian wetlands are beavers, cougars, bobcats, shrews, snakes, turtles, and waterfowl.
Wow.
Oh no! Yucky glucky wetland sludge!
Speaking of decomposers, they decompose dead animals, making lots of organic matter that is not fully decomposed due to the waterlogged conditions on the surface and release their carbon to the atmosphere. Plants also decompose and release carbon into peaty dirt on wetland surface and store it, therefore making wetlands one of the major carbon sinks on Earth. Peat is also the first step into making coal, is easily compressed, and can be used as a source of fuel as an alternative to firewood. Oops.
Hold up.
Here are some wetlands in Calgary that you can visit. Number 1, Ralph Klein Park. Ralph Klein Park has an environmental education center, a natural playground, and it is a man-made wetland. The park is the first park to be named for a former mayor of Calgary during his lifetime, Ralph Klein. He served as Calgary's 32nd mayor and as Alberta's 12th premier. The man-made wetland was constructed specifically to improve stormwater quality before it enters the Bow River system. The grounds themselves have a picnic area and a community orchard that boasts 5 varieties of pear trees and 8 varieties of apple trees. Edgemont Ravine was so named because the network of ravines in northwest Calgary are completely surrounded by the community of Edgemont. The naturalized marsh was one of the first to be constructed as part of the water management scheme in a community development. The community and park were established in the late 1970s. It includes hiking trails, picnic tables, a playground, pathways, a gazebo, tennis court, and a basketball court. Fish Creek Provincial Park is an urban provincial park that preserves the valley of Fish Creek in the southern part of Calgary. It is bordered on three sides by the city. Fish Creek Park features more than 100 kilometers of trails for walking, hiking, and biking, of which more than 60 kilometers are paved. These trails connect the park to Calgary's extensive pathway system, and the Trans-Canada Trail passes through the park along the Bow River. Fish Creek Park has a lot of wildlife, including deer, coyotes, owls, beavers, garter snakes, frogs, and great blue herons. Wow, those were some pretty cool wetlands. You can visit them during the summer or on your weekend.
How do we define different types of wetlands? Well, it all depends on how the water gets there. Ponds are a type of wetland, and most of the water there is from rain runoff and snow melting. The water in a pond is stagnant, and ponds are often filled with vegetation. They may stay dry during the summer, exposing mudflats. Marshes are often subjects of liquid, unpredictable floods, especially near bodies of water like lakes, rivers, or even oceans. Marshes are completely dried out under hot weather. Swamps are essentially just wooded marshes covered in rampant bushes and twisted trees. Peat bogs can be separated into two variants, bogs and fens. Bogs are covered in wet moss, which will eventually decompose into a material called peat. And bogs are covered in wet moss, which will eventually decompose into a material called peat. In bogs, the decomposition process is much more advanced than fens, causing the soil and water to be much more acidic. Bogs are often surrounded by low shrubs. In fens, many types of reeds are medium shrubs and capable of growing due to the acidity in fens.
Take into consideration, whenever you drink a glass of cool, refreshing water, remember that the wetlands help make it possible. I, for one, love the smooth feeling of the smooth water just slowly sliding down my throat, allowing me to euphorically choke and gulp and gasp at the amazingly smooth and cold drink bestowed upon me by the gods. Thank you for your consideration. Introducing the new portable swamp. New portable swamp that lets you admire the beautiful swampy scenery everywhere you go. See cool critters 24 hours a day. Some of my favorite critters are the giant water bug and the beaver. Comes with a cool handbook to identify creatures. Only $29.99. Available at Walmart!
Disclaimer: any injuries sustained by this product are not the manufacturer's responsibility. The information included but not limited to text, graphics, images, and other material contained on this product are for informational purposes only. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified zoologist with any questions you may have regarding an animal or the habitat, and before undertaking usage of this product, read the manual to make sure you are dressed appropriately. Beavers tend to respect those it deems well dressed, typically resulting in less injuries. Objects to include are ravenous hunger for maple syrup, flannel t-shirts with a plaid pattern, large ginger beards, and the ability to handle an axe. Unprepared side effects may include injury, bleeding, constipation, unexplainable distress, invasion of various aquatic animals, death, and diarrhea. If ingested, go to the ER immediately and get your stomach pumped to minimize certain injury. The company is not responsible for those side effects, as stated by the fine print on the very bottom of our product. Have fun with your new portable swamp!
Estuaries. An estuary is a partially enclosed coastal water body where fresh water from rivers and streams mixes with salt water from the ocean. forming brackish water. Brackish water is somewhat salty, but not as salty as the ocean. The sheltered waters of estuaries also support unique communities of plants and animals specifically adapted for life at the margin of the sea. Many cities are in estuaries, including London, Amsterdam, Venice, Calcutta, Hong Kong, Shanghai, San Francisco, and Buenos Aires and New York. So many cities are in estuaries because estuaries filter out pollutants and sediments from rivers and streams before flowing out into the ocean, providing cleaner water. Some fun facts about estuaries are more than 80% of all fish and shellfish species use estuaries as primary habitat or as spawning or nursing grounds. And that estuary is also called bays and sounds.
Check it out! Over 14% of Canada's landmass is wetlands. However, over 85% of natural wetlands in the US and Canada are destroyed for farming land. Today, 7% of the Earth is wetlands, and there are 1.29 million kilometers squared of wetlands in Canada. Wetlands are an important part of the Earth to the climate, animals, and humans. Some things you can do to prevent the disappearance of wetlands are recycle, save water, keep your pets under control, and limit your use of pesticides and herbicides.
Crazy Critters! Welcome to Crazy Critters. Today we're going to explore and study the snail, muskrat, and great blue heron. We will look at their diet, adaptations, and fun facts about them. Snails. Snails are tiny gastropods that live basically everywhere, including wetlands. Snails are decomposers. Decomposers are animals that eat dead things, and they are very important to the food chain, as they provide nutrients for plants and provide food for bigger animals, like birds. Since snails are really slow and small, whenever they sense a predator, they back off into their shells and cover the opening with a layer of mucus called an epiphragm. Muskrats. Muskrats are rodents that inhabit wetlands in North America that are incredibly resilient animals, showing off how much it takes to live in a wetland. Muskrats have cool adaptations to thrive in wetlands by having claws that let them dig burrows and have a network of tunnels in the ground. They also have a second pair of clear eyelids that allow them to see underwater without getting much water in their eyes, much like a human using goggles. The great blue heron. These large birds have adapted to have a long beak, long neck, and long legs. This makes the bird exceptional at wading in deeper waters and spearing fish. The cores of their feathers' slow heat transfer provide great insulation. Although the feathers do not provide much buoyancy, herons have many subcutaneous fat stores that greatly increase buoyancy and act as energy stores.
Wetland plants. There are many different plants in wetlands, many of them depending on the type of wetland. Wetland plants can be divided into 3 categories: emergent, floating, and submerged. Emergent being out of the water surface, floating being floating on the water surface, and submerged being submerged under the surface of the water. Some examples of interesting wetland plants include cattails, sedges, and water lilies. Cattails are tall, reedy marsh plants that are normally found in temperate regions around the world. They inhabit fresh or brackish water and are aquatic or semi-aquatic. They are commonly used as decorations in flower bouquets, and their material can be used as food or to make mats and chairs. Sedges are a common type of grass found in cold and temperate climates. They are traditionally used for weaving household items like baskets. Some cool adaptations they have is that they can survive in very low oxygen conditions and have air channels in their stems, leaves, and roots called parenchyma. Water lilies are floating freshwater plants consisting of a waxed leaf with lots of airspace and a flower on top. The bulb and root are commonly used to make medicine. The top side of the leaf is covered with a cuticle to keep it as dry as possible, and the underside has thorns to protect against predators. The province of Alberta has asked us to disclose our environmental crimes to you. A brief disclaimer: this song is not good. We're doing this for the swamps and wood. We know we're trying our best to take care of the earth, and we're not here to start no trouble. We're legally required to do the wetland shuffle. I'm Larry Jenkins, and I'll refrain from walking off the path in a public park. What I did was not too kind, but I'm a nice guy, you'll come to find. Got a backyard and a real nice pool. You should come over for a barbecue. We can make some cold drinks in my blender, but keep in mind I'm a wetland defender. Vernon Douglas is my name. Introducing invasive species to wetlands is what brought my fame. But there's much more to know about me. I love to dance and I love to ski. I zip and zoom on through the snow. Strap on my boots and watch me go. But I can't ski until December. Until then, I'm just a wetland defender. I'm Charles Smith. Drop in rhymes. I've been arrested 7 times. I know that sounds like a lot. 3 of those times were for vandalism in public parks. Feel real bad that I got caught. Might do it again, probably not. I'm not here to make pretenses, here because of my wetland offenses. I'm Sam Pound, number 1, apologizing for what I've done. In case you were wondering what that was, I snuck into a wetland and I did some bad things. I'm not here to eat no truffles. I'm just here to do the wetland defender shuffle. Hey everybody, I'm Laura Hughes, proving girls can do it too. And by it, I mean destroy wetlands. Was it worth it? No, it wasn't. Won't find me in your local park because I gotta wear this ankle bracelet. I'm not here to go on bender. I'm here because I'm a wetland defender. Last name Brown, first name Mark. I'm moving in somewhere on your block. Not in a house, but in a van. If you need me to move it, I sure can. Last thing I want is any trouble. Learn my lesson from the wetland offender shuffle. I'm the one they call Arthur Chase. They said I didn't have to show my face. My first trial ended in a hung jury, but if I'm found guilty, they'll unlearn me. I'm here for littering in a wetland, but I'm not here to be my own defender. I'm here because I'm possibly a wetland defender. Okay, real quick, I'm not like these people. This is an extortion plot on my ex-wife, who's the only witness, and she's trying to take away my kids. The province of Alberta has asked us to disclose our wetland crimes to you. We were bad, but now we're good, and we're now functioning members of society. We're obliged to admit the crimes for which we were convicted. We're not here to start no trouble. We're legally obliged to do the wetland defender shuffle.